Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this slightly different video I'm doing today, where I'm going to be doing a little bit of a very basic tutorial on how to use Courseplay in Farming Simulator 22, just to make performing some tasks on the farm a heck of a lot easier. And I'm going to be doing a little bit of an experiment with Combine Harvester, show you how you can use harvesting to make your life very, very simple. Courseplay can make harvesting very simple, should I say, and also some mowing. So firstly, I'm going to hop into my Combine Harvester here, and what we want to do is we want to program a course. Now firstly, when you activate Courseplay and come into the game, and you come into the main menu, you will notice, or should notice, you've got some extra options in the menu here. You will have Course Manager when you're in a vehicle. You will have Courseplay Global Settings when you are in a menu. And you will have Vehicle Settings when you are in a menu, in a vehicle. So, firstly on Vehicle Setting, what do I generally change? Well, for the maps that I sort of play on, I always tend to turn off the turning on field. I don't like it when vehicles get to the end of a row and then reverse on the field and in the crop to turn around onto their next row. I would sooner them drive off, do a horseshoe kind of loop, and then start the next row. However, that doesn't obviously work on some maps where you have got objects like hedges, fences and stuff very close to the field edges. You can't drive off the field and turn around. So that setting, this setting is something you need to adjust for you based on the maps that you're playing on. Alternatively, if you're going to do headlands on your courses, you can turn on the only turning, you can deactivate the only turning on the field course. With a Combine Harvester, another setting I tend to change is the fold tools at course end. Because what will happen sometimes is when you go to start a course in Courseplay, the harvester will actually fold up, and that makes it very difficult then to unload it, especially if the pipe is folded. Weirdly, Courseplay is able to harvest with the combine folded up, even though you can't as a player. And the other settings that I change, and I do find this a little bit annoying in Courseplay, I will say, that I have to change this on every single vehicle because it's not the option by default, but raise tools late, lower tools early. These are the settings that I prefer, and honestly, I think this should be the default way that Courseplay does it. However, Courseplay, out of the box, comes with it set the other way around. I do not like that. I change it. Next, for a Combine Harvester, we've got a special group of settings that only applies to harvesters, which is Stop While Unloading, which is activated or deactivated. I am going to do activated. Combine Self Unload. You can, with a combine in Courseplay, have it set so that when it gets full, it will look, it will search, it will scan around the field to find a trailer. It will then drive over to the trailer, unload itself, and go back to where it's and carry on harvesting. I'm going to turn that off because I'm going to be using the grain cart to do the trailer harvesting, unloading. Unload on first headland. Yes, we want to call the unloader on the first headland to unload the harvester. And yes, I am going to be dropping straw, ladies and gentlemen. And those are the only settings I need to change on this particular vehicle. However, we will change settings, obviously, globally on all the vehicles. Under global Courseplay settings, now this affects everything in the game. You've got your Courseplay driver wages, which you can set from free, so you never have to pay money for a Courseplay worker, to half the normal AI workers' wages, 100%, which is exactly the same as the Giants AI. I generally set it at 250 because I like to pay a little bit more because they do the job better. Automatic repair. Courseplay will either always keep your vehicles healthy, which means it's always spending money in the background, keeping your tools and equipment fully maintained. It will do a repair if the tools and equipment drop below 70%. It will only repair the tools or equipment if they drop below 25%, or never repair. I personally like to never repair because I don't like Courseplay spending my money. And then you've got stop harvesters whilst it's raining. Again, very useful setting, ladies and gentlemen. You don't want your harvesters harvesting in the rain and costing you yield. And then there's no real settings really beyond that I changed down here. The only other setting you might want to change, if expert mode is not already activated, activate it. You want to make sure expert mode at the top there is turned on. Everything else you can turn off. And on some of the things to do with like info windows and message on-screen messages and things like that, I turn those off. But those are the only things I do. Okay. Right. Under Course Manager, at the moment, we have absolutely no courses loaded. So I'm going to create a folder to start with. And I'm going to call it Harvesting. Okay. I'm also going to create a folder called Mowing, because we're going to come to that a little bit late. Right, so how do we create a course? Well, firstly, I need to make sure none of our vehicles have courses loaded in them. Shouldn't. Some of them might. Because I did try recording this video a little bit earlier. I'm not going to lie. This is my second attempt at recording this tutorial, folks. I made a fatal mistake. That I forgot to enable game capture in OBS. So the whole time I recorded this video, or I was recording this video, I wasn't capturing the gameplay footage. Right, so we want to go, obviously there's your normal map screen. We want to go onto the active worker screen. Now, if I want to set up, okay, Courseplay, okay, do a harvesting job on this field, I will choose create job. So I will hit enter. You can do this with a gamepad, but I'm going to show you this for keyboard and mouse. You want to make sure that out of all the options at the top of the field, you are on CP field work. Okay. Next thing, field position. This is what is going to tell Courseplay which field you want to work on, and also where you kind of want to start or end your field work, depending on options we choose in the course planner in a moment. So I'm going to choose to pick a location on this edge of the field here. Okay. I'll tell you why in a minute. We're going to open then, and you'll see Courseplay puts a nice white line around the edge of the field. It knows where the edge of the field is now. We open and the course generator. Okay, now one of the things I always tend to do, this is just personal preference, you don't have to do this, but I have found through many hours of playing and testing, it works better for me to make the work width of the tool that little bit smaller than its actual work width, especially if you don't want to miss bits on the field. Okay. Multiple tools, we're not using multiple vehicles on the same course, so leave that at 1. Headlands, that is how many times the harvester is going to go around the outside of the core field before it starts working on its up and down roads. So I'm going to leave that to 2. I'm going to have the harvester start working on the headlands. We're going to have him do smooth corners. This field has got nice corners. Obviously, we could do sharp if it was a square field and had 90-degree corners. We can do rounded corners if, you know, it's a very gradual sort of bend in the field. But I'm going to leave it on smooth for now. I'm going to have it do clockwise headland direction. The reason for that is because, obviously, on a combine harvester, the unloading pipe is on the left. So I always want that to be in free air when doing the headlands, so that the grain cart can handle the unloading. Headland overlap, I'm going to do 25%, just so we don't miss as much. Field centre. Now, this is the up and down rows bit. I am going to let him do up and down rows. The other option that I could do is spiral. And what happens there is after he's done his headlands, his 2 headlands, he will drive and he'll do a row down the field. Okay? He'll do a row down the field with his pipe out, you know, in free air. Once he gets to the bottom of the field, he will drive to the opposite end of the field and do a row back up. That way, he's always keeping the pipe in the free air for unloading. Okay? It does, however, mean it takes quite a bit longer for him to do that field. So I'm going to leave him just purely on up and down rows. Okay? I'm going to leave him at 0 degrees because I just want him to work north to south. And then there's no islands on the field. There's no objects on the field. But if there was, you could choose to circle those objects. A simple bypass of any objects, pylons, trees, etc. Or no bypass. I generally leave it on circle. And then the last thing I do is change the field margin setting. Now, because I've gone to -1, I'm basically telling Courseplay that the field is actually a little bit bigger than it really is. Which means, again, the harvester is going to actually just overhang the field on the first headland to make sure it absolutely gets everything. If you set that to a plus value, you actually kind of tell Courseplay that the field is actually smaller than it actually is. Which means Courseplay won't go all the way to the edge of the field. Again, there are times when you might want to do that. There are times when you don't. I personally always set him to do a little bit of an overlap on the headland. I want to generate the course that I have selected. Okay. Now, with the course generated, I can close the course generator and you can see the course has been generated because you can see the lines everywhere on the field. Now, I am actually going to save this. I'm going to come into harvesting. Okay. I'm going to hit X to save the course, space to activate, and I'm going to call this Field 1 30-meter harvest. Now, the reason I choose my naming convention is simple. I'm going to have all the grain harvesting courses in the harvesting folder. Now, if I'm using this harvester and this header, they're always going to be 13 meters. So I always know that that's going to be a grain harvesting, wheat, barley, oats, soybeans, canola, that kind of thing. If I was to do corn or sunflower harvesting, I would use a different naming convention, purely and simply because what typically you find is that the corn headers and sunflower headers are smaller than the grain headers. So to differentiate, when it comes to me saving a course for doing a corn harvest or a sunflower harvest, I will simply name it Field 1 Corn. So I know it's a different header and it's a different size course. Okay. Next thing, you want to obviously get the court guy onto the first waypoint. Now the first waypoint is indicated here by this lovely little blue arrow. Okay, so I get him somewhere close to the start. We bring him in. We press delete on the keyboard to bring up this lovely little menu. You can see which field you're working on. You can change first waypoint, last waypoint, nearest waypoint, etc. You can change the visibility of the course. You can see where he's going to trundle off to. You could do the whole field if you wanted, or turn them off all completely altogether. I like to have it either on the first 2 settings. So with first waypoint selected, I then just hit the play button and Courseplay will start harvesting. Now the next thing I want to do, okay, whilst he's doing that, we want to get our grain cart. Okay. Right, ladies and gents, we have a grain cart. Okay. Now, I do not want to be doing grain cart duty. I do not want to be emptying the harvest. So what I'm going to do, okay, we've got the vehicle settings. The grain cart, I want to empty itself when it reaches 85%. What we're going to do is we're going to come into the active workers screen. Okay. I'm going to choose unload combine as the job type, I'm going to pick a waypoint on the field, and I'm just going to hit start job. That is all I need to do for grain cart harvester unloading. I do not need to press any other buttons. I do not need to create or load any courses. And what will happen now, ladies and gents, is when that harvester reaches a certain fill point, he will call for this tractor to go and unload him. This guy will do that all by himself, okay? And then, when this guy reaches 85% full or higher, he will go over to the truck parked right at the bottom of the field over there in the distance. You might just be able to see. And he will unload into the truck, okay? So between the grain cart and the truck, we have quite a decent unloading capacity there, which should keep this harvester trundling around this field quite happily by himself without me needing to do any kind of interacting with him. Okay. So we're just going to let him run. Like I say, truck's parked over here. Truck is quite happy. He's sat there ready to receive stuff. Okay. We've got another little vehicle over here, which is my tedder. Come to that in a minute. Got a loading wagon over here as well. We'll use that a little bit later. Got my baler here as well. We've got my mower. Right. We've got a field of grass here, ladies and gents, that I would like very much to mow. So, we haven't got any mowing courses currently. So what we're going to do, we're going to create exactly the same and create a job. So again, Courseplay field work, field position. Okay, I'm going to pick a spot, again, just on the field. There we go. We're going to open this. We're going to check the settings. So we've got 7 meters for the mower. We've got 5 headlands. I'm actually going to do 6. I like an even number. On this particular job with the mower, I'm going to start on the center of the field first, rather than the headlands. And I'll explain why in a minute. Again, I'm going to do smooth corners because this field is nicely shaped. Doesn't have any sharp angles. I'm going to do up and down rows again. Manual row direction. This time I've set it to 90 degrees. Because this field is on a hill, I want the vehicles to work across the hill so they don't slow down, as if, you know, going uphill they'll be slower than coming down the hill. I don't want any of that. And again, I just make the field margin a little bit bigger, so he gets all of the grass, okay, on the edge of the field and a little bit from just beyond it. Generate the course. So again, we've got all the lovely bits. Now you can see he's actually going to end over here. So where I actually put my field position marker is where he's actually going to end. And he's actually going to start up in this northeast corner. Okay, so what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to save the course. So I'm going to press X to save. Okay, space. And this is going to be field 15. And I know it's 7 meters. There we go. Course is saved now. So I have created 2 courses. I have saved those 2 courses, which means now I can reload those 2 courses into any other vehicle with any other piece of equipment attached to it, and I do not need to touch any other settings. I just need to go to the start of the course, click play. Okay. So I'm going to spin around. Got the mower going. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this mower get a little bit further ahead. So again, he's on the first waypoint. You can see the work width 7 meters. You can see what course he's on. Again, I've got my line showing you where he's going to drive to. Again, I just hit play on this lovely little Courseplay menu. You can move this anywhere on the screen. I normally have it tucked away in the top left-hand corner when I'm doing my Let's Plays, so it's out of the way. You may find that whilst you've got that menu open, if you're playing with a controller like me, you lose the ability to rotate the camera. Okay. You just need to press delete again to turn that off, and now you've got access. For some reason, it's the same in auto drive as well. When you have the HUDs open, the game is like locked into mouse, keyboard and mouse, so you find you can't rotate the camera, okay, because it wants you clicking on those boxes and choosing options. Got my baler over here is ready. We'll come back to that later. I've got a windrower here, and obviously, as you can see, I've got a baler. Now, one thing I will point out about mowing courses, okay, what I obviously plan to do in this video, demonstrate Courseplay, is we've got the mower mowing the field. I then want to use the exact same course to do some tedding, do some windrowing, do some baling. Okay. Now, when doing tedding and windrowing, it's very important to make sure your tedders and windrowers are wider than your mower. Okay. We have got a 7-meter mower. So I have made sure that my tedder that I've bought, okay, the tedder that I have bought for my farm is 8.2 meters. Okay. My windrower is 8.5 meters. The reason for that is you always want your following tools to be slightly wider. Okay. So they don't miss bits. If you had a 7-meter mower and you had a 6-meter tedder or 6-meter windrower, you're going to leave strips. Okay, you're going to leave strips down every row. So always make sure your windrowers and tedders are bigger than your mower. It makes absolutely no difference, okay, with them being bigger. If you get them smaller, you're going to have problems. Okay, so the harvester is quite happily trundling around. He's getting full again. As you can see, the grain cart has moved at some point. But actually, grain cart is very close to needing to unload. Now, as you can see, we are dropping straw on this field. So in a minute, I'll show you how we can also use Courseplay to collect that straw for us. Save us having to do it. Okay. Now again, he's going to call out to the grain cart. In fact, I'm quite surprised that the grain cart's not already on the move. Now he's moving as we approach 95%. Okay, 95%. The harvester stops. Grain cart is coming. Harvester will pipe out and unload into the grain cart, and then he'll carry on. So at this moment in time, I've not had to do any interacting at all with the combine harvester. Not had to do any. I had to touch him. Like I say, I don't need to be here. I could be somewhere else on the map doing something completely different. I could be quite happily over here ploughing or seeding this field that's got nothing currently on it. And these guys will be quite happily running about doing whatever it is they need to do. So like I say, here comes Mr. Grain Cart. Pipes coming out. Again, I'm not pressing buttons. My hands are off the controller. I'm nowhere near the keyboard and mouse. And again, grain cart backs out of the way, lets the harvester carry on. I assume the grain cart at this point now is suitably full. He is at 99%. So what the grain cart could do now, in a minute, he's just staying. He wants to go to the truck. Fortunately, the harvester's kind of in the way a bit. Again, the way Courseplay developers have programmed this, the grain cart driver won't go driving miles off the field because, again, you don't know what kind of map you're on and whether you have room off the field. So he'll try and keep the grain cart on the field for as long as possible until it needs to obviously go off and unload, which is what it's doing now. And again, I'm not doing this. This is all Courseplay. Okay. That pipes out and he's going to fill that first tank. We'll reverse back. He'll then fill the second tank. Nearly even fill the third tank on the tractor, on the truck. And at this point, obviously, you will need to get involved because now you probably will want to go and empty the truck. There we go. Yeah, truck is full. I can now take truck and empty it myself. I can leave the grain cart to carry on working on the harvester. So depending obviously how far I've got to drive to unload the truck, obviously the grain cart acts as a nice buffer and helps to keep the harvester going. I'm going to drop this into the farm silo. And I'm going to obviously park this back at the field side, ready for the grain cart. We've just got a few of these to do. 3 bins. In there too. Middle tank, and then we'll do the rear tank. And there we go. Nearly done. Right. Now I can just drive the truck back to the field, park him up. I don't even need to park him in the same place. I can park him anywhere now. And the grain cart will find him. But to keep things a little bit more simplified, I am just going to park him down here. I'm going to leave him there. Right. I'm going to come over to my tedder man now. My tedder. Okay, because I want to do some tedding. You know, we've got quite a few rows being mowed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to the Courseplay course setting. I'm going to go across to where the field 15 7-meter mow is. I'm going to hit X, load course, space to activate. Now my tedder has the same course loaded in it as the mower is currently driving on. Okay. So I can come down here. Bring him round to the start point. And line him up with the blue marker. Delete key. Make sure he's on first waypoint. Hit the play button. And now Courseplay is doing the tedding for me. So again, I don't need to do tedding. I don't need to worry about it. This guy's going to drive around quite happily. What I can do now is move over to my windrower over here. I can come into the same course manager again. Mowing. Field 15. I can press X to load the course. Space to activate. Now the windrower has the exact same course as the mower loaded in it, which means he will follow the same route. So, in a few minutes, once the tedder's done a couple of rounds, you know, I just want to do a little bit of hay. We can begin. Now you'll probably notice the reason why on a mowing course I choose to do the up and down rows first before the headland. The reason for that is when it comes to the baler, if you're going to do baling, you don't want the baler starting on the headlands, dropping its bales all around the field, because you will be dropping bales where all these vehicles want to be turning round to do the up and down rows. So when doing grass mowing, I always do headlands last, so that the baler, if I'm baling, does the bales around the edge of the field last, so they don't block all the other vehicles and get in everybody's way. Right, now the harvester is doing a lovely job of harvesting, but I said to you, we can actually get straw collected. So here's my tractor with my lovely loading wagon attached. And what we're going to do, we're going to load the harvester course, okay, into this tractor. And he can follow the exact path that the harvester has taken and do straw collecting for me. So again, if I press A, space, this tractor now has the harvester course loaded in it. Okay, now if I just position him much like I did with the harvester at the beginning of the course, right there just before the blue marker, so let's set him to first waypoint and hit the play button. The loading wagon, which you can't do with a normal giant's worker, will now collect all the straw for me. Now, with using Courseplay on its own with no other mods, okay, you will reach a point, or what will happen is, this guy, when he gets full, he'll stop. Wherever he is on the field, as soon as that tank in that loading wagon reaches 100% full of straw, he will stop. You will then have to go and empty him. But you can bring him straight back to the point where he stopped and start him off again. Okay, you only have to be responsible for the unloading. He will run around quite happy, gathering up, like I say, gathering up the straw. So, he's at 84% now, 88, 89, 90, picking up, picking up. He's reached 100% and he stopped. And he automatically then hands back over to you. Okay, you're ready to pick up and go and unload. So as soon as you jump in the tractor, you can go and do the unload. Okay? So I'll quickly go and sell this. I'll bring him back and I'll show you how to start him off again from that point. Now I always like to let the harvester get a little bit ahead with it harvesting, so that the loading wagon and the harvester don't have any sort of interactions or collisions or runnings into each other. So if we pop into here, I can just dip the straw and sell it straight away. A bit of harvest income. And the tractor back. Now you might decide, obviously, with the amount of straw that generally gets left behind by a combine harvester, that you're probably better off baling the straw, because then you haven't got to worry about unloading the loading wagon. Well, it's the same principle. You just pick the baler, load the harvester course, and it will run up and down, leaving straw bales. Okay. So, come down here. Right, we want him to carry on from where he left off. So I press delete to open the menu. I'm going to choose nearest waypoint. And I'm going to choose tick. And he will now load up the straw and carry on. Mower is still happily mowing. Harvester is happily harvesting. He is quite happily doing what he's doing. He's just finished a row of heading, so I'm going to stop him and drive him out of the way. I don't want to do any more hay bales than a couple of rows. Right. Windrower, please commence at the first waypoint and start windrowing this field. There you see. Again, a job that Giant's AI does not like to do, you can now have done by the worker of Courseplay. And like I say, I've only thus far created 2 courses. That's all I've done. Just created and saved 2 courses. That's all I've done. Very simple, yet I can use them with multiple machines to do multiple tasks. I can even use this course, this mowing course, as my grass rolling course. If I want to do grass rolling after we finish mowing and harvest, baling and everything, I can bring my roller down and use the same course, providing obviously the roller is 7 meters or larger. We can do the grass rolling perfectly fine on this field. The loading wagon got full right next to my truck. Again, we just bring that in. I'm just going to sell the straw because this is only a demo save. It's only for me to do this tutorial. And what else is very, very good, okay, about Courseplay and the way it saves these courses, it does it in such a way that anytime you load up the same map, you will have access to those courses. So if you go into a multiplayer server that has Courseplay enabled, and you've already got a load of courses saved from your own single player save, you can use those courses immediately on the multiplayer server as well, which is very, very nice to have if you play the same maps multiplayer and single player. Like I say, straw collector busies himself, runs around quite happily. Like I say, once he gets full, he just stops, waits for you to unload him. Now the baler has no course loaded, so what we want to do is load again field 15 mowing. But what I would normally suggest, and this again, it's only my suggestion, I typically would not let the baler loose until after the mower has finished and you've done your tedding, windrowing. The reason I say that is sometimes, obviously, the baler can drop bales on the end of a row. He might decide to drop a bale here, where I am now, in which case that bale will get in the way when other vehicles come round to start doing their headlands. But I just wanted to show you, obviously, that Courseplay can handle baling perfectly fine. It's doing 180 centimetre round bales. So again, don't need to worry about that. You flip them on the end so the bales aren't going to roll anywhere and cause any problems for me. And like I say, the whole of the grass mowing, material gathering, collecting process can be automated with Courseplay. There's not a single part of this task that you need to get yourself involved in, really. Let this guy just drive around for a bit. He's got a few rows. He's a few rows behind the windrower, but he is going to be faster than the windrower because he's not going to stop. Doesn't have to stop to unload the bales. Doesn't have to stop to wrap the bales. Okay. So he will end up catching up with the windrower. I'm just going to manually stop him, and then I can pick him up. I can start him again in a few minutes once everybody else has progressed a little bit. Obviously the mower is quite happily zooming up and down, doing his rows. And we've got the bale collector here. Now we can collect bales as well with Courseplay, and I'll show you that in a moment. Again, we're just going to let the windrower, and like I say, all this has been done without me getting involved. It's unloading. Needs to pipe down a little bit more, I think. Or preferably, what you want is a truck with a single grain bin. You don't want one with the separate hoppers, because it can cause problems. You really want a single bin trailer here. You do. He's empty. Once again. We can drive off and handle the unloading. For example, if I had, let's go trailers. One of them. For example, and if I quickly go to the map menu, find it down here at the store and reset that, disconnect that trailer, go grab the new one with a single bin. That'll make it much easier for the grain cart to unload him. Bring this down. Guy needs to unload. So we'll take him down and put him in the thing. Wondering where the grain cart has disappeared off to. Ah, the grain cart is in there. Don't quite know. He's trying to unload. He's obviously gone looking for somewhere to unload. He doesn't need to. One thing you do have to watch if you've got silos quite close to a field you might find that Courseplay tries to empty the grain cart into a silo. or other facility that will receive and quite happily host wheat, which might have been my seed mate, one of the seed makers down that side. Yeah, loading wagon is still loading. It's just a case of empty him, and then once he gets full again, drive off and unload. Yep, we're back. So nearest point, switching back on, and he'll carry on doing the windrows. I can now let him carry on. So again, I choose nearest point for him, hit play. He'll carry on baling now. Now there are definitely more rows for him to have a go at. Obviously, I'll just keep my eye on him and see where he's dropping bales to. I'll drop that there. Hoover up stuff, turn around. And again, he carries on quite happily, as you can see. I was zooming along. So, I said we could collect bales, didn't I? With Courseplay. Let me show you how that works. So, I've got my tractor here with my bale collector on the back. You bring him down to the edge of the field where you want to be collecting bales from. Preferably somewhere, obviously, in the near vicinity of where the bales are. You come into the active worker screen again. Select create a job. Make sure it is set to CP bale collect and wrap in the top corner. Field position, and again, you just pick a point on the field, hit start job, and again, I'm not doing anything. I'm not touching buttons. He will go and collect bales. Now, he won't differentiate between hay bales and silage bales, or you can tell him to only pick up in the options if you wanted to. You could tell him to only pick up. So if I stop him, come back into the menu again, you've got all bales, only wrapped bales, only not wrapped bales, or all bales. So I'm going to tell him to start with to only pick the not wrapped bales. Okay, so he'll drive round and he'll gather all the hay. Like I say, he will scan the field looking for hay bales, and he will find them, and he'll go and drive to them and pick them up. And much like with the loading wagon on the other field doing the straw, when he gets full, he will just stop and he'll wait for you to go and unload him. that is the limitation of Courseplay. Courseplay in FS22 only does work. It doesn't do transporting. In FS22, if you want to do transporting, you need another mod called Auto Drive to do that, which works in combination with Courseplay. It's a shame that the Courseplay devs removed and didn't have the transporting and unloading and stuff elements brought into Courseplay, because then you could do everything with just the one mod, and that's a lot nicer. As you can see, this guy's happily picking up the bales for me. And like I say, he will only pick up the unwrapped bale. So on the next row, where the baler will be doing silage, he will not pick those up. So yeah, if you've got mixed consistency bales on the field, wrapped, unwrapped, you can tell Courseplay to only pick up the wrapped ones. You might also be thinking, hang on a minute, if you'd done square bales, how would you wrap them? Well, again, using the exact same mode and same method in Courseplay, if you have one of the square bale wrappers, one of the square bale wrapper type machines on your harvester, on your tractor, you just come to the field and do the exact same thing. You choose, do this Courseplay bale wrapping loading, and then you just select the field and click start, and he will go off. He'll search for the bales on the field, and he'll go up to them and he will wrap them. That's it. He is finished now. He has finished because there are no more hay bales on the field. So he's handed back over control to me, and I can carry on. Now, I am going to stop the baler again, because I've just noticed on this row, he's done the one thing I kind of want to be careful of, and that's make sure he doesn't drop bales where my mower, windrower, etc. still has to go. So I'm just going to move that bale manually. We don't want any collisions, but like I say, that's one of the reasons why you should always do the headlands last on a field. Don't have bales drop where machines want to turn around, and also why you should always wait until you finish your other tasks on the field before you start the baling program. Okay, and there's our straw collector again, ready for me to go and sell the straw. But as we can see, the harvester and the grain cart are working flawlessly together. So I don't really have to get involved. I can be, like I say, I can be off doing other tasks. I could be doing some contracts and earning money, whilst Courseplay is working on my own fields for me, handling all this stuff. And like I say, I've only created the 2 courses, and I can do so many different jobs and functions on these fields using those courses. I think that's quite ingenious. And it's one of the reasons why I love the Courseplay mod. Love it so much. Like I say, this guy is getting full, so he will then carry on harvesting. Now the grain cart should walk and load into my truck. And because it's a single trailer now, he shouldn't have any issues with the truck. I'm steaming down here. That looks like that looks like quite a big, wow, he's got some, speed there. He might want slowing down a touch, I think. He might have been going a little bit fast. Got a bit of the old... What capacity is my grain cart? Auger wagon. It is 43. So yes, my trailer actually holds a little bit more than the grain cart. You could probably do with having a second trailer here though, to help him whilst you're taking one to empty. Like I say, we know the grain cart is empty now. So I can take this and go and load it into the silo. As I say, this is just the sort of basic things, the basic sort of tasks you can do with Courseplay. And obviously saving the courses and being able to reload it each time so you can repeat a job on a field every time without issue, without fail. The Courseplay will also do some other handy little functions now. As we drove through the farm there, you saw we had a silage bunker. If you're the type of person that likes to make your own silage by fermenting and squishing grass, well, guess what Courseplay can do now? Courseplay actually has a silo mode, where as long as you've got a tractor with a leveler equipped, you can set that to work doing the squishing for you. And what you can also program it to do, is it will detect when you are approaching with a trailer full of stuff put in the bunker. And what it will do is it will take that tractor that's doing the squishing and rolling and levelling, take it out of the bunker to a parking spot of your choosing, where it will sit and wait until after you have unloaded into the bunker, and then it will go back into the bunker and carry on doing the levelling and compacting for you. Because I know that is a time-taking operation. And like I say, we have got all the lovely, wonderful aspects. I mean, we could bring this loading wagon over, by the way. Right. And I'll show you this very quickly. It's the last part of this video, because this video is getting a little bit on the long side. But for example, we don't want to do straw collection anymore. We want to pick up the grass, for example. Let's say. Go into the Courseplay Course Manager. Clear the currently loaded course so that the T8 Genesis has no course. We can go to mowing. Okay. We can load that course instead. We can drive down to the grass field. Right, so he's bailing in that direction. So if I was to say go, I want to pick up grass from here, put him on nearest waypoint, hit the tick. I can have the grass collected by a loading wagon automatically. And again, once he gets full, I just need to take him and unload him. If you didn't want to do baling, or baling's not your thing, you can do it this way. And that, like I say, is just from having a one course to rule them all, as they say. But you can eventually you can have folders for ploughing, cultivating, rolling, weeding, fertilizing, manure spreading, slurry spreading, stone picking. Any task that you can do in this game, you can have folders for, and you can have a course for every single field that you own. You can even use it for contract fields as well. You can have a course for every single field on the map, including custom-made fields that you make yourself. Courseplay works with user-made fields, and you can literally just repeat tasks over and over and over and over and over again. Perfectly. So our mower is now doing his headlands. So it's one of the reasons why I prefer typically not to do too much. I have too many vehicles running around at the same time on the same field, because they can get in one another's ways. Typically what I would normally do is, if I'm using a mower like that, I'll run the course with a mower. I'll then take the mower off that tractor, put the tedder or windrower on the tractor, and then just let the same tractor do every step of the field, you know. And again, I'm just going to stop in there, because I don't want him getting in the way of the mower. Baler, we know, works, and like I say, the mower is going around the course quite happily, getting all these little bits. And like I say, if we had another vehicle, if I was to go, ooh, I don't know, grab myself another tractor. Let's grab ourselves some Massey Ferguson. We'll have wide tyres and weight. I'm going to buy that one. If I want a roller for doing the rolling, got grassland mowers. They only do 6.3, so I would probably use my... Ooh, I don't actually have my modded rollers, so I'm going to have to use one of these. Not ideal. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit on the short side. This will highlight my other point about making sure you select the right types of equipment. So reset that back to the farm. Reset that back to the farm. There we go. So first things first, Courseplay settings on the vehicle. Turning on field, I'm going to deactivate. Raise tools early, I'm going to change that to late. Lower tools early. And field work, I'm just going to make him a little bit faster. We are then going to load mowing course field 15. He has the course loaded. I didn't even need to have the tool equipped for him to load that. He was quite happy. Like I say, if we come down now to the field, we could start rolling it, where we've already collected the bales and everything. but it will obviously miss bits because this is only 6 meters. The mower was 7, so it will leave strips where it doesn't get rolled. So ideally, again, you want a roller that's bigger than your mower. Or what you would have to do is create a course just for the rolling. If you don't have a roller bigger than your mower, you will need to create a separate course just for rolling, grass rolling, and 6 meters wide, obviously, for the little vehicle here. Let the mower go by. The great thing about the grass roller is it will not remove the grass that's laid on the field. Okay, you're not going to delete the grass you've mowed by starting grass rolling now. So again, first waypoint, put him on. We'll hit play. And the field rolling can be taken care of as well. Look at that. What I'll do is I'll just manually come and shift these bales out of his way so he can do a couple of good rows. So we'll end up with windrower is still windrowing. He's a long way behind the mower. He's a lot slower than the mower. As you can see, he's perfectly rowing up the field. Not missed any bits anywhere. Harvester has finished harvesting. Grain cart has finished unloading. So the truck is ready to go off and do its final emptying. But like I say, this is the one issue. If you get your tools wrong and you get your course widths wrong, you'll see as he's rolling, not a million miles off. I think if I go back and look at the field screen now, go and have a look at, actually 6.3 roller on a 7 meter course kind of gets away with it. He does kind of, but again, it might just be that first row. He might space out in a second, and the next row you might notice the gap more. Because what Courseplay will do sometimes, like he did on the harvesting course, I need to turn off the line so you can see it better. On the harvesting course, after doing his first headland, he actually started on a row very close to that. So the distance between that headland row and obviously the subsequent rows is a lot smaller. That gap is a lot smaller than all the other rows. And you'll notice that sometimes on the field when you do a Courseplay course, that sometimes it almost looks like he's going, a vehicle will go back down a row it's just done. It's just how Courseplay works out the spacing for the field that it's on. But actually it looks like 7 meter mower with a 6 meter roller, we're getting the field fertilised quite happily. So I don't even need to do a different course. The basic roller will work with all this equipment. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this has been an interesting video for those people that have requested it. Hopefully it's recorded fine this time, otherwise I will stab myself with sharp things. And yeah, I hope this has been a good tutorial for those of you that are on the fence or on the verge of jumping into Courseplay, but just need a little bit of help with figuring out how to do things. Very simple, basic things. So I will catch you all with some more content very soon. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. I've been Seawaddy. Bye for now.